I'm Sean Cooper, president and owner of Fit Financial Consulting, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Last week, I talked about Social Security and the benefits thereof, specifically how you earn benefits, how you apply for benefits, how your age affects or impacts your benefits, and some of the additional areas that Social Security covers. This week, though, I want to talk a little bit about some of the challenges facing Social Security going forward. So, not a real fun topic, but something that is good to be aware of and have some background on. So, as many of you are probably aware, Social Security faces a serious funding issue going forward. When it was set up, it was originally designed to help keep retirees out of poverty, and for that reason, it essentially acted as a pass-through entity where funds came in and funds were sent directly back out, and they for the most part, paid out the bulk of their receipts. Now, they did build up a certain fund to an extent, and that does earn interest, although it's more of a line item than anything else. But that worked fine as long as the population was growing. So you had more people paying into the system than those receiving benefits. To put that in perspective, jumping back to 1940, the retirement age at the time was 65. The average life expectancy for a man in 1940 was 60.8 years. The average life expectancy for a female was 65.2 years. This resulted in 159.4 workers for every one beneficiary. That's a lot of workers for every one beneficiary. It creates a very fluid funding system. However, fast forward to 2013, the retirement age has only gone up to 66, so a 1-year change. However, the life expectancy was 76.5 for males and 81.2 for females, which means at that time we only had 2.8 workers for every one beneficiary. Essentially 3 to 1 versus 160 to 1. Fairly vast difference. And the retirement age is only scheduled to increase by 2 years and not until 2027. So it's already started changing, but it goes up only to age 67 by 2027. So over that entire time frame, and despite the increases in longevity, we've only increased the retirement age by 2 years. This has resulted in the Social Security fund actually running a deficit 11 years already. And we've run a deficit in 2018 and are projected to continue doing so for the foreseeable future, which means they estimate by 2034 the fund will actually be depleted. Now, that estimate changes every year. They actually rerun their calculations and submit a new estimate on that. A few years ago, it was actually as early as 2032. So it's been closer in the past, and it can change going forward. But at that time, so once we reach that point where it actually is depleted, the fund is actually depleted, they're going to be forced to make some decisions. They can either A, shut down the program entirely, reduce benefits, increase taxes, increase the retirement age, or some combination of those last three. Now, experts suggest that they're probably not going to eliminate Social Security entirely. I would tend to agree with that. I think there's probably a small likelihood that that could happen, but it's pretty slim. It would create some serious consequences for our economy. So the odds of that are slim to none, I would say. The other option would be to reduce benefits, and that would require that they reduce benefits down to 75% of their current estimates by 2034. So a 25% reduction for retirees. And this would create a pretty severe crunch on beneficiaries of Social Security. The next option, to increase taxes, would actually require that they increase taxes from 12.4% to 16.8% by 2039, and this would be phased in over time. This would reduce the available assets for workers and further reduce what they're able to set aside for themselves, perpetuating the cycle of reliance on Social Security, actually making people even more reliant on Social Security, in my opinion, and that really kind of defeats the purpose. The other option, though, to increase the retirement age, as I've said, they're already set to do that. It's going up as at this point already, and it goes up to age 67 by 2027. That's probably not a sufficient increase. Unfortunately, to further increase that retirement age would also require that we have workers that are able to continue working, physically able to continue working with that increased longevity. So it creates something of a challenge there no matter how we square it. And none of these options are appealing. Unfortunately, our leaders have been more concerned with re-election over the last 3 decades than they have been with actually making the tough decisions that could have warded off this outcome in the first place. Yeah, we actually could have fixed this years ago, but that just hasn't happened. And at this point, it's too late to really be fixed, per se. Which is why I expect our current leaders to continue to pass the buck until a option is forced upon us, a decision is forced upon us. So in the future, once we reach that breaking point, 2034 or whatever it ends up being, I'd expect some combination of all 3 of those last options: a reduction in benefit, an increase in taxes, and an increase in the retirement age. But I expect an increase in taxes the most, unfortunately, for everybody who's going to be working at that point, and in the next decade or so. So those are just my thoughts on it. If you have any additional insights that you'd like to share, or additional questions or topics that you'd like to hear about, by all means, give me a call, shoot me an email, or post here. My number is 720-808-6979, and my email, sean.cooper@fitfinancialconsulting.com. Thanks.